It's time to make your Holy Week in a box. Now, you're gonna need your cardboard box, a peg person, that piece of cloth, some green paper, that tiny little book that I made you, also something to write with, marker, crayon, pencil, usually black or brown would be the choice I would make, and a pair of scissors. Okay, so pause this and go find all of that. Welcome back. The first thing you are going to do is take your scissors and your green paper, and you are going to make palm leaves. These are the ones that Lindley made. She cut them so that they have things in the middle that open. She cut some that have little edges on the side. And the key for these palms is that once they are done being made, they need to fit inside your box. Your box is going to help you tell the story, but your box is also going to keep all of your materials. After you have your things together, pause this video and make your palms. When you're done, come back. Okay, you're back. Now we're gonna take our box. Now there are two parts to your box, a lid, which is the shorter one, and the base, which is the taller one. For this part of this story, we're going to use the top of your box, and you are going to make this the table, and you're gonna draw a chalice, which is just a fancy word for a cup, and either a plate or a bread. This one is a bread, so you see like the lines in it, and this is the chalice that Lindley drew. You can pause this video and then come back when you're done with that. Lindley drew faces on her peg person. You don't have to, but you can. So she drew us a happy, smiling face and a sad face. My leaves are flying away. So after you are done drawing your chalice and your bread, or your chalice and your plate, which that plate is also called a paten. That's what we call it in church. It's a fancy word for just a plate for communion. So the chalice and the paten, or the chalice and the bread, are going to be on the top of your box. And on the bottom of your box, you're going to use the marker again, marker, crayon, whatever you're using, and you're going to draw a cross that Jesus will fit on, okay? So when you're drawing Jesus on the box, you need to, or drawing the cross on the box, you want to think about how big it would need to be for Jesus to be on, right? So if you need some time, pause the video and come back when you're done. And then the last thing is you want a piece of cloth. Now this cloth needs to be big enough that you can put Jesus in it, right? But not so big that you can't fit it in your box, because that would be hard to keep it in. So when you have all of your components done, the palm leaves, the table, with the chalice and the bread, or the chalice and the paten, the base, which is the cross, a cloth that is going to be not too big, but big enough to wrap Jesus in, and putting a face on Jesus if you want to. Then you can, you're ready to tell your story, okay? So if you need some time, just pause this right here, and if you're ready to go on, I'm going to teach you how to tell this story. Okay, for the first part of our story, we're going to lay down our palms to create a soft, squishy path for Jesus and his donkey to come down. Remember, Pastor Paul let us feel the one that was in the church today with all the palms, and it was nice and squishy. Now the other part is that people laid palms down. They ripped them down off of the trees and they laid them down on the ground, but some of them even took their clothes off. So you can use your piece of cloth if you want to. Like you could layer it like this as you go. But on that day, Jesus came into the city of Jerusalem on his donkey, and they rode down the path that was covered with palms and cloaks of the people who were there to celebrate. And the people were shouting, "Hosanna, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." And a few days later, I'm going to put all of this stuff to the side. So you put all of this over to the side. Oopsie, I knocked Jesus down. A few days later, Jesus went to the upper room with his disciples, and he had said to them, "Come, have a meal with me. And they all gathered around the table, and he said, every time that you have this meal, do this in remembrance of me. Every time you have this meal, remember me. Drink this drink and think of me. Eat this bread and think of me. And then he taught them to pray. Well, then the next day was super sad. And that's when Jesus had to walk through the city of Jerusalem, carrying his cross with him all the way to the skull, which was in Golgotha. And he had to be hung between two other criminals. You might be able to see it better this way. He was hung on the cross to die. It was so sad. And once Jesus died, his friends came and wrapped him in some cloth. Oh, let's make him this way. They wrapped him in some cloth and laid him in the tomb. They prepared his body, and then the tomb was sealed. But 3 days later, in the morning, his friends went to the garden to see, and when they got there, the tomb was open and it was empty. See, the tomb is empty. And later, Jesus met his friends and said, do you remember me? I came back just as I promised. Now we are going to do that again. And I want you to practice, because you get to take all of your pieces and you are going to use your pieces to tell the story. I am not going to use my words. I'm going to let you use your words, and I'm just going to act it out, okay? If you get stuck with what comes next in the story, that is what the Holy Week booklet is for. So now you're probably wondering, how am I going to get Jesus out of that tomb when I'm teaching other people about this? Well, you just have to do some magic. Sometimes you can hold the box over your lap, and when you open it up, you just kind of drop Jesus down and then put it down. Or if you stick your hand in while you're doing it, maybe you can stick your hand in and get Jesus out and hold it before you say, and it was empty. See, he's hiding right here. That's part of the magic, is we get to show what a miracle it was that Jesus wasn't there when they came back. So when you are done figuring this, making this, and figuring out how to tell your story, I want you to go and take all your pieces and then go tell an adult and teach them the story of Holy Week. Have a great day. Bye.